Hey everyone, I'm going to be using my rock, paper, scissors game here to help me explain conditional execution. Conditional execution in this case will be using the if and else if functions. So in my game here, just to give a brief summary to help you understand better, when the player chooses a selection, either rock, paper, or scissors, it assigns the player a number 1, 2, or 3, respectively. Afterwards, it then creates a random number for the computer to have, and then it compares the two. That's done here. We set the random number that we want for the computer in the number variable here. Then we compare them in the if and else if functions. So in our first one here, see if the player in this tab chose 1, it'll be the first number, and that would mean they chose rock. It then compares the random number that we got to that. Or in this case, if number equals 1, so if the random number that was randomly generated was 1, it would then display this, because that would mean that the computer chose 1 and the player chose 1, so it would be a tie. But if the random number instead was 2, it would then skip over this first time, because the random number does not equal 1, it would then move to else if number equals 2. Then it would choose that and display you win, because 2 would be, in this case, scissors, and rock the player chose. So in turn, these if and else if functions make it so that when the computer goes through and scans each line and follows the respective code output, it will look at each of these functions and determine if it is the one being called for. And if not, it will go to the next statement, the next else statement, until it finds the correct one. So again, just to go over one more time to make it more clear, if our random number that is randomly generated equals 1, in this first if statement, it will display this in the results tab. Else, as in if it's not that, if it's not the first one, it would be the second one if it equals 2. But if not that, it moves on to the next one. Or in this case, we have an error message to say, well, if it's above 3, out of range. That's an error message. And if it's not any of those, it would be this one. And then it would display it in the text field as shown here when we choose rock. It randomly chooses it, and we chose, or in this case, it looks like since we won, the random number was 2. And that's pretty much conditional execution.